any other questions of board members to either party?
I was curious, I can't remember who mentioned it earlier, but, and I know it's been mentioned in previous grievances, but this, we had to consider things like this grievance, the inappropriate notes and that sort of thing. I honestly cannot remember specifically what, the ramifications that were from those inappropriate notes from back then. Can somebody answer that question? What were these inappropriate notes, and what did they mean, and who were they directed at? Or towards it, without mentioning students' names, of course.
Is that something that can be brought up in this grievance?
Yes. Mr. Rotan, I think, brought up in his first speech, he mentioned the notes, is that correct?
Yes.
So, okay. Let me direct you to, luckily I did mention that as well in mine. If you go to docket number 701061196.EC, and you can search that I believe that will give you the judge's ruling. Worst case scenario, you Google SOA and you search for opinions or for rulings and you type in Ogletree, it'll pull it up. That goes through and discusses every single allegation. It discusses, you're not going to find the ruling in the book. I gave it to you last year, and I figured this year there's no reason to give it to you, you have it. But I did mention it so that you could consider it and go back and look at it. So that's why I referenced it here. Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. It goes through and it goes through every single allegation, the criminal ones, as well as, because they have a higher standard than a criminal court, as well as the other allegations of misconduct, which included the way I dressed, just included all sorts of things that wouldn't be included in criminal charges. And so you can find that there. The bottom line is they were found to not be what the student said they were, and the judge, I guess, went with or ruled in my favor on those notes. Is that?
I think as far as our behalf, they were coded notes that were given to students. The student had claims that the code meant one thing. Mrs. Ogletree had claims that it meant another. I don't know what it meant, but I do know there were coded notes given to students, which I think is inappropriate in itself, or certainly gives questions in your mind about the meaning, whether it's the student's interpretation or hers. We do know that there were coded notes given to students. I don't know which interpretation is true or which intention was true, but I do know for a fact that they were there and that they were recovered at the student's home.
If we wanted to have a whole hearing about the notes or discuss them in depth like we did at the actual hearing, we could. My guess is that the administration has not, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, but that the administration has not looked into the evidence of each and every note and the statements of the student and the statements that he says other students would say that supported what he said, and then what other students actually said and saw. There are all sorts of facts that can be examined regarding those notes. When the student said he received them at one place, which is very different to when he said he received them later on, once he decided to make up new allegations. What he said different ones meant. He was very, very specific and detailed. His memory was very good about how I told him what something meant. And then later on was very specific and remembered it very well in an entirely different, very detailed way.
Were there in fact notes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, on a sheet of paper.
What did they say?
Not written out notes, just letters.
What did they say? What did they mean? I mean, if they were letters and they were code for something, what was that?
Okay. The reason I'm hesitant is because I feel like this is not really the appropriate venue for that, but I don't want to not answer anything you ask at the same time. So if you look through your, in between now and the next meeting, one place you can go, I believe, and I'll still answer your question, but I believe the packets I provided you guys last year, or
We've
might have
seen the
been,
information.
it might have been
We've
the,
read the information.
well,
From
then do you not
Ann.
have a question? I mean, he has a question about it. Okay, so Mr. Lounsbury knows where it all is, but, I'm sorry. But either last year or the year before, I gave y'all some things from transcripts about some of that that you can go back and look at. Also, if you go to the, either on the website or you have it in a hard copy somewhere from last year, you can read some detailed stuff there.